there. Welcome to this week's episode of Fabulously Fun Trips. I'm your host, Greta Smith, owner of Savvy Travel Design, where I plan fabulously fun trips for my clients to share with their favorite people. Here on the show, I share a variety of travel-based information and interviews with you to help you find your fabulously fun out there somewhere in the world. So tonight I am flying solo. I have something a little different to talk to you guys about tonight. And it's kind of been on my mind all day because I've something else that I'm working on. But this idea of we all want to get out there and we all want to go. Things are starting to open up and it's super duper exciting. And, cruises are starting to cruise from various places. And France just announced that they are expecting to be able to open up to U.S. travelers as early as next month. That's been a hot topic of conversation this week within my travel agent circles. So all of these things are starting to happen and things are starting to loosen up and we're all kind of going, ooh, let's go, let's get somewhere. But what I'm also seeing is this sort of paralysis by analysis. And it's not just from, clients that I'm talking to, it's even within travel agent circles. We're all like, oh, we want to go and we want to see. And we don't even know, we want to go all the places and we don't know which ones to do first. So that I think is probably the top thing that I'm seeing right now is this paralysis by analysis, just kind of, I want to do all the things and I don't know where that is. So I thought tonight that I would give you some tools to try to get over that hump and to really sort of define what it is that you're looking for in your next travel experience. So one of the most challenging types of travel to plan, I think, for folks, whether you're DIYing or whether you're working with an agent, sometimes one of the trickiest things to do is a family vacation, especially if you have teenagers involved, because I know teens are notoriously difficult to please. Sometimes, especially if you've been actively traveling for their entire lives, sometimes they can get this been there, done that kind of feeling, and so it might be a little tough to nail down exactly what they're interested in. So my biggest suggestion when you're planning, especially when you're planning with teens, is to make it a family activity. Plan a family meeting, get together and say, hey, we're going to talk about vacation planning. Let's do some brainstorming. So the biggest things you want to brainstorm with your teens and with, any group that you're going with. So if you're going with girlfriends, if you're going with, a extended family, some of the brainstorming things that you want to talk about is the what, the when, and the where. Okay, those are your main questions that you want to try to answer. When it comes to the when, I suggest just simply printing out a calendar for the month that you're looking at going or the months that you're looking at going, and then just having everybody jot in their, I can't miss this stuff. Okay, that doesn't mean that everything on the calendar has to be a can't miss, because if it is, especially if you're booking now for summer, a lot of things, we all get 6 months ahead or so on our calendars at least. So there may already be things in the books, but there might be a golf game that someone can miss, or there might be a baseball game that isn't absolutely critical that your son maybe doesn't have to be there for that one. But you definitely want to make sure that you ink in those must-do things so that everybody knows where the conflicts occur, and hopefully comparing calendars that way, it'll become clear where the best options are for you to fill in your when. From there, it's great to ask some questions. One of the most valuable questions, my husband and I were actually talking about this earlier, one of the most valuable questions that we found with our kids is, what didn't you like about the last vacation we took? Or what was your least favorite vacation that we took? Because sometimes if you just ask, oh, what was your favorite thing? Oh, I love the beach. But what they're thinking when they think beach might be, I want to go zip lining and I want to do, I want to learn to surf and I want to this or that. And what I'm thinking when I think beach is probably more like, give me a chair under an umbrella and a pina colada and I'm good. So sometimes we need to dig in a little bit and finding out, what was your least favorite thing about a vacation? Because sometimes if I'm thinking I just want to sit on a beach and they're going, well, we went and did this, but all we really did was sat around, okay, then I might want my beach time, but I need to also have options for them that don't involve sitting on a beach somewhere. So things like that, I really do feel like that's probably the most valuable question that I ask, whether I'm asking my kids or whether I'm asking a client. It's super duper important to find out what they've done that they didn't enjoy, because they don't want to give them that again. Okay, so that's thing number one. Thing number two, figure out together what activities you enjoy doing together, because you may find within those things that even if you're not going to do everything together all the time, those might be good jumping points. So if the family loves to ski together, if you know that you guys really enjoy kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding, things like that, you want to go someplace that you can rent a boat and go out on the lake for a day. Once you nail down those things that you all really enjoy doing together, then you can start looking for places that incorporate those things, and then exploring beyond that to see if there are activities that kind of hit the checklist for, well, she wants to do this and he wants to do that, and see how many of those things you can knock out in that area too. So that's another one that I suggest as a really good discussion topic. The last thing that comes down to your where is often somewhat determined by your what, because once you know those activities, you can decide the where. But there's also some logistical concerns that you want to make sure that you hit when you start talking about the where. Because if you have someone who hates boats, you're not going to go on a cruise, okay? Or you might go on a cruise, but it might need to be a specific kind of boat, because I've found that a lot of people, I don't like boats, usually means I get seasick, and so I'm miserable. But on some of the bigger ocean liners, that may not be a consideration, because you don't feel it. And there are stateroom locations that you can choose that will give you a better experience with that. So sometimes it helps also to sort of dig down and find out, like, okay, why don't you like that? Because it may or may not be something that's a deal breaker. Okay, but you want to figure out, do you have somebody who's deathly afraid of planes or hasn't been on an airplane? So, first airplane experience might not want to be 13 hours, might want to be like 3. Just, for getting accustomed to it. Would a train be an option? Are we comfortable with driving? Or lately I've had a lot of folks who only want to go someplace that they can drive to because they're not comfortable in a mass transit setting, like a plane, a bus, a train. And so they want to be in their own vehicle. So that's, of course, another question. How do you want to get there? And then that will feed into the where are you going to go? Because obviously, if you want to be within driving distance and you have 5 days to go, you're not going to go from Pennsylvania to California probably, because till you get there, you're going to turn around and come back. Okay. So that will help you narrow down the where. Also, logistical concerns as far as how many hotel rooms do you need? If you have a family of 6 or we have a family of 5, it can be really tricky finding a standard hotel room that will sleep all 5 of us, especially comfortably. Sorry, dog's in the background. She's just trotting around. I don't know what she's looking for. But we find that with a family of 5, it can be difficult nailing down hotel accommodations. We often either need to split into 2 rooms, or we need to go with something like, we did Great Wolf Lodge last week, and we did a suite that had a loft and a bedroom upstairs, and then 3 bedding areas in the main level as well, because our kids are getting to the point where they're all a little too big for some of the, like, I'm going to use Great Wolf as an example. They have family suites that have little separate areas and, maybe 3 twin beds, but the twin beds aren't quite like full length. And so what we found the last time we went was that everybody was getting to the point where they were a little too tall for that. I've got a 12, 14, and a 16. So everybody's a little too tall for those little kid beds. So this time when we went, we needed to look for something that had more space. And because they're all used to having like a full-size bed at home, it's not really a great option for anybody to share a queen-size bed because they all are just take up too much room when they sleep. So things like that, make sure that you take into consideration, because sometimes it's like, oh, it sleeps 5. Well, it sleeps 5, but it sleeps 5 pretty tight. You may need to bump up a room category in order to have comfortable sleeping arrangements for everyone. Also bathrooms, keep that in mind too, especially if you've got, out of 5 of you, 3 of you take showers in the morning and 2 of you take showers at night. three people try and take a shower in the morning and then make their hair look something, resembling presentable might take 3 hours. So keep in mind, if that's going to be a concern, you may want to look for a suite with a second bathroom, or you may want to consider 2 separate rooms so you have access to 2 bathrooms. And just another thought for the logistics. Also, you might want to consider what kind of weather you're looking for. Are you looking for something warm? Are you looking for something cool or cold? Especially if it's in the middle of summer, if your family members are not super heat tolerant, especially those of us who live in the Northeast, we get 3-4 weeks of the year where the temperature hits over 90 and we're all like, oh dear God, this has to end. So if your family is like my family and they're not particularly heat tolerant people, then I'm just going to tell you straight up, San Juan in July probably is not going to be your jam because it's hot. However, you might really enjoy Cape Cod, Nantucket, that area, because it's going to be similar weather, but maybe even a little cooler because it's a little further north. But you're still going to get that summertime fun, and you've still got beaches, and it's still warm enough that you can go in the ocean during the summer. So just kind of keep the climate concerns in mind. Now, of course, if you're in Florida, Arizona, Texas, where you're used to, you've got a couple of months where you've got the 90s and the 100s and whatever, and it really doesn't throw you off, then go ahead and look at something closer to the equator in the middle of summer. It's probably not going to bother you. But just some of those things to kind of keep in mind. Yeah, so that's kind of the stuff. I just wanted to give you some tools tonight to try to nail some things down. Because like I said, I've been seeing a lot of this, like, I just don't know, just can't decide what to do. And it's not that folks don't know what they want to do. It's nailing down the when, the what, and the where all at the same time on one piece of paper. So hopefully this little list of some questions and some discussion points will give you some help, especially when you're planning things like a family vacation or an extended family or something with a group maybe, just to kind of give you some starting points to plan your next trip. So a couple of quick things before I sign off. I know this was a quickie tonight. So I wanted to give you my travel tip for the week. I would suggest, I don't know, if you're like me, I know my kids have their AirPods and it's fine and it's whatever, but I still have earbuds that have strings and all of that. So if you are like me and you have the old version of things that actually have cords and everything isn't wireless, then one of the sneakiest ways I found to try to keep all of that organized and not a mess in a bag somewhere is to use an old eyeglasses case, especially if you have one that's like a hard shell. Those are great for corralling all of the things that have cords. Just stuff them all in there and close it. And if you really want to get, specific about it, roll up the cord and rubber band it. So that way it's not floating around and getting tangled up with the other cords. So that is my travel tip for the week. And those are super easy to just chuck into a carry-on or a personal bag on the airplane if you're, if you're headed out that way. So I did mention a little bit earlier, I was working on something else, and that's why all of this was sort of in my head tonight. I am putting together a 5-day vacation planning challenge. And the purpose behind this would be basically to help you, give you some extra tools. I mean, I kind of like briefly went over some things tonight, but to do a little bit deeper dive and give you some tools for figuring out the when, the where, the what, but also helping you figure out how to put together, like how to decide what your vacation budget is going to be, and some of the other, logistical and detail issues that go into vacation planning. So by the time this 5 days is done, what you should be able to walk away with is a one sheet that tells you what the important activities are, what the destinations are that you are interested in looking into, what your budget for your trip is, what type of trip you want to do, and all of this is corralled on one page for you. So you've got all of these little details that are running around in your head, you've got them down on paper in one place. And then from there, if you are a hardcore DIYer, have at it. You've got all the information you need to do to make exactly the vacation that you want. or if you are a travel agent worker with her, whether that's me or whether it's someone else, then you've literally got a sheet that you can just hand your agent and be like, this is the thing I want, go find it for me. Which of course we always appreciate, because this is literally when I'm talking to a client for the first time and trying to, figure out what it is that they're looking for. This is literally a lot of the list that I'm asking them so that I can get a really good idea of what it is they're looking for. So if you're coming to me, with this on a sheet of paper and just saying, I already thought about this, this is what I want, that makes it so much more quick for me to then be able to say, okay, let me go do the research. So your travel agent will love you if you have that sheet ready to go. So anyway, I'm putting this together, so I will keep you posted on that. If you're not on my email list, go ahead and you can shoot me an email, greta@savvytraveldesign.com, or you can jump on my Facebook page and just shoot me a message and let me know that you'd like to be on the email list so I can keep you updated with when that will start. Or you can jump over to my website, savvytraveldesign.com. And I believe if you're scrolling around for a minute or two, there's a little thingy that pops up that says something about, jump on the newsletter list or something like that. And that'll pop you right in, and you'll get the information as well. So anyway, that's it for tonight. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to see all of you this evening. And until next week, I am wishing you love, light, and vacation daydreams. Ciao.